Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to talk about Deacon's birth story. So grab your popcorn and your favorite candy or whatever you like to snack on because it's going to be a long one. So 29 weeks, I had my baby shower. My friend Danny put it together. That was the last video that I had posted on here before my life update. So I had my baby shower, and then the next day I started having pain. I thought they were Braxton Hicks contractions, so I didn't think anything of it. But then they started getting more painful, and then this is a TMI video, so if you can't handle blood and gross things talked about, just scroll out of this video. I lost my mucus plug, and I was like freaked out because usually when you lose your mucus plug, it's showing sign of labor. I was 30 weeks pregnant, so I was freaked out. So I called my doctor and I said, this is what's happening. I lost my mucus plug. I've been having like feels like Braxton Hicks contractions. She's like, okay, go to sleep, take a nap, eat, whatever, and then if they get worse, call me back. So I did. I slept for like 4 hours, and I had a meal. I had a meal, then I napped. When I tell you I woke up in so much pain, I was like freaking out. My mom lived in Hawaii. My grandma is gone. She's on vacation in Hawaii. And the only person that I had with me was Christian at the time, and then my aunt was the only person that but she had did she have all kids? She has Namaya. She has 4 kids, okay? So I was like, no one's gonna be able to come with me, and I'm gonna be with Christian. At the time, Christian was like, I don't believe you, like, no, like, this is, like, you're fine. He just kept saying, like, you're fine, and didn't believe me. And I was like, no, like, something's wrong, like, something's really wrong. And, so I called the doctor back, and I'm like, this is what's happening. And she's like, okay, you need to come into the doctor's office. And so we packed, like, 3 things and went to the doctor's. And my little sister Brooke is like the only one that I told all day long, like, these are the contractions, like, this is what I'm feeling, I'm nervous, I'm scared. And then once we were heading to the hospital, that's when we told people, like, told a select amount of people. We told Christian's sister Emily, we told Christian's mom, we told my mom, we told my grandma, and we called my aunt. I called her multiple times. She wouldn't answer. I had my mom call her. I had my grandma call her. And eventually she called me and she's like, what's going on? So I told her the story and she's like, okay, I will figure it out and come to the hospital. I'm like, okay. So I get to the hospital. We're waiting to be seen. The hospital that we go to, they don't take anyone that's under 34 weeks. So I knew that we were gonna have to be flown to Seattle. So the first thing they do is they see what's wrong with me, they see what's going on, they get an ultrasound of Deacon. They're like, Deacon's fine, he's happy, he's content, he's moving, grooving in there, but you have an infection. And I'm like, oh great. And they're like, okay, we're gonna give you some infection medicine, and we're gonna give you magnesium to help try to stop the contractions. Okay, so no one told me what it was gonna feel like. So they gave me magnesium shot. While the magnesium was going, they gave me medicine for my infection, and they gave me a steroid shot in my leg for Deacon's lungs. So 3 medications at once, magnesium, and it's not just me who says this. A lot of moms that have gone through the same thing have said the same thing. It feels like your body is on fire, like a huge flame, like you're just, it's not hot. It feels like you're on fire. I'm sweating. I feel like I can't breathe because I'm so hot. Like I feel like I'm on fire. So I have fans on me. I have ice packs on me. My aunt is there with me. She's holding my hand. I feel like I'm gonna throw up. So I have one of those puke hospital thingies on my chest. And finally it like goes away. It was like 30 minutes, I don't know. And then they gave me, did they give me anything else? No. So I'm laboring there for a while and they're like, okay, like this is the situation. You're 30 weeks, we can't deliver you here. You've got to go to Seattle. So we're like, okay. So my aunt and Christian they leave. They go start driving. They go to their house, get a few things, grab gas or whatever, and then they drive to Seattle. And I'm there by myself. So I'm on the phone with my mom and she's talking to me and they're like, we have to give her this medicine to help with the contractions, to slow them down because they're coming fast. They're not slowing down. The magnesium didn't help. And I wanted to have a natural birth, but I knew that I wasn't going to have one, so I wanted to labor natural until I was going to have my C-section. That was my goal. Anyways, with like no medication, anything like that. So, but I knew that to help me, I needed this medicine. Anyways, my mom convinced me to take it. It was like, and I'm also like very afraid of it due to people that I know and have just seen like the news of like fentanyl, and my mom just kept saying like it's different, it's like not watered down, but I don't remember the word, concentrated. It's not as strong as people are getting it on the streets and like all that kind of stuff. So eventually my mom talked me down from freaking out and I took the medicine so that I could make the flight over to Seattle in the helicopter. So after like 45 minutes laboring alone in the Wenatchee hospital, I got on a helicopter and everyone asked me all the time, that's so cool that you were on a helicopter, like was it so fun? Like no, it wasn't fun. I was trying not to have contractions and freaking out that I'm in labor at 30 weeks, so it was not fun. I get in to Seattle. I go from helicopter to ambulance to the to triage in the hospital that we're at. I'm not gonna say the hospital's names just for privacy. And I'm on the phone with my mom, so it's just me alone with my mom on the phone, and I get to triage and I'm like laboring by myself. I remember this lady comes in, so from there on I didn't have any medicine. Not one. I had one more. I had the steroid for the second shot for Deacon, for his lungs, but besides that, nothing else. So from then on I labored for 15 hours. 15 hours. I had horrible back labor. Eventually in triage, Arena and Christian got there and my mom's on the phone with me. She's still on the phone with me. We're laboring, we're doing all the things, and I had the worst back labor, the worst. When I remember this lady, she was like, are you laboring, or like, are you making those moaning sounds? And I'm like, yep, I'm having a baby, so yes, I'm making those sounds. And she's like, oh, I just didn't know. And I was like, okay. Anyways, I'm laboring, triage. The doctor comes in and she checks me and she's like, we don't have any rooms available right now, so you're just in here doing your thing. I'm like, okay. And so she checks me and she's like, oh, you're 2 centimeters dilated, but I can feel Deacon's feet in the sac. And I'm like, what? So he was breech. And my body, I have 2 cervixes and 2 uteruses. So he was in my left uterus. He was only on my left side, and he was breech. He was breeched my whole pregnancy. We never got him to flip. So I knew that I was going to have a C-section. And then we finally get moved into a room, and the room number is 23. And I labored for 15 hours, and it was January 23rd, 2023, and I was laboring in room 23. And they came in eventually. Like, I had nurses and my aunt, every contraction, like pushing my hips together to make the pain go away, because I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it with no medicine. They kept asking, and I was like, no, like, I want to have some sort of knowledge and power in my body. Anyways, finally the anesthesiologist came in, and he's like, okay, we're setting up the room. We're gonna get your baby out of there. At that point, I was 5.5 centimeters dilated. Because he was so early, we had to do C-section, and they weren't sure if I could have natural labor due to my cervixes. Also, he was breech, so it was easier. It was easier. So we get in there. My aunt's by herself, like in the room, and Christian goes in with me. I get the epidural. There's a lot of students in there. There's a lot of students in the room, so I'm like even more nervous. I'm like, ooh. I remember laying flat, and they were giving me medicine in my IVs and stuff. And I remember on the phone with my mom, and I was like, I'm gonna throw up. Like, they're like, no, you're not. And I was like, no, I'm gonna throw up. And so I like leaned over to the side, and I just remember like, like dry heaving. I never actually threw up, but I dry heaved a lot. And then I'm numb, so I can't feel anything at all. And then eventually they were like, I was like, okay, like I can feel like what you guys are doing. So they were like, we can give you this medicine, but it's going to affect your memory with the birth. And I was like, I can feel it, and I don't know what else to do. So I got the medicine. I do remember most of it, thankfully. They were cutting me open, and they were like, we see him, and like pulling him out, and then all that stuff. And I got to see him for like a split second, and then they rushed him over to get and a little plastic. They put like plastic over them. It looks like a plastic bag, but they put the plastic on him and put him on oxygen. And I got to see him they brought him over to me. And then as they were stitching me up, I was like, okay, I can feel that. Like, I can feel you're stitching me up. And they were like, okay, so they gave me more medicine. And thankfully, I didn't lose that much blood. And I didn't lose a lot of blood, actually. And so they stitched me up, and then Christian stayed with me, and they took Deacon up to the NICU with the NICU, and whooshed me. After they had sewed me back up, they put me back in the room that I was laboring in. So Deacon was born, he was born January 23rd, 2023, I labored in room 23. I'd had him at 7:53, and I was back in the room 23, waiting for him. So lots of 3s and lots of 23s in there. So Deacon was born 3 pounds. Deacon was born 3 pounds, 4 ounces, 15 inches long. And he was so cute. I will try to put some pictures somewhere in the video of what he looked like when he was born. He looked like a little doll. That's what everyone kept saying. Like, he looks like a doll. And eventually, they took me up and I got to see him, and he was had cords all over him. It was really sad to see, but he was doing really, really good, and he's really, really strong. I'll put one of those pictures up too. But that's the story of my birth and Deacon's birth. It was really crazy and chaotic, but he's the strongest, smartest kid I know now. He's 2 and he can count to 20. He knows his colors and his shapes. And most kids don't know that until kindergarten, which is pretty crazy. Anyways, that's the end of this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.